I must say, I'm a proud Cape Townian, and I'm a very proud member of the government of Cape Town. I think we have succeeded in mainstreaming environmental and sustainable issues into almost every single decision-making process in the city. But in short, Cape Town is recognized as the most biodiversity in the world. And to pay contribute to this gift, we as a government has to learn that in order for us to obtain our objectives and our aims in conserving and maintaining healthy ecosystems, we need the buy-in from the community. They need to experience and accept the value adding of these pieces of land or the processes that you follow. The moment that the community is really experience that value adding, they will be part and parcel in the protection of that land or that process. We have seen it over and over. If they value the process, if they value the land, they are better custodians thereof than any other formal structure. So the point of departure in all our processes is to take our community along with us. But then we need to complement it and secure it within the decision-making realm of Cape Town. And therefore, we in Cape Town have decided to base our spatial planning on a bionet or a biodiversity network where we done ground truthing on those species or those ecosystems that are absolutely crucial that we need to protect for the next generation and further. We also need to acknowledge that over and above that, we are part of the national government who is setting targets for the protection of our biodiversity species. Therefore, Cape Town have a huge task to contribute to obtaining those objectives setting in a legal framework. So it's not a wish list, it's really a reality. We also have taken that up in the practical sense in the bio-network, where we have obtained something more or less 55,000 hectares of areas that we protect under those the bionet. But for me, the key element is if your baseline of a spatial development framework is a bionet, then that's your departure point for anything that you want to do on that land, and also then your interference or not with nature in that point in time. As Cape Town, we have also, out of that baseline, have a set of let's say, entrenching guidelines for decision making, and we facilitate a vast number of what we call stewardships, where we partner with private landowners to manage their land in such a mechanism, and that they take the responsibility, but we guide on how we need to protect that land. And for me, that is the best win-win ever we have. We also have a biodiversity strategy in action on which we report at least twice a year to our monitoring committee. We also have a bioregional plan. We have a green infrastructure strategy, as well as a implementation plan. And on that one, I'm especially very proud of, because our hard infrastructure departments are using a lot of our flays and our rivers as part and parcel of their service delivery. By accepting the green infrastructure, we are now securing that they need to look after that infrastructure, and we will guide them in how to protect it further. We also have a environment strategy to facilitate the protection and rehabilitation and restoration of our ecosystems, which is crucial for the city's sustainability and the reality in surviving this huge impact of urbanism within the environmental space that we occupy. We also succeed in our invasive species plan, which allow us to make sure that there's a balance within our ecosystem for that. So from my side, I think that Cape Town, in conclusion, have succeeded to get our communities buy-in, that they help protecting with us, and we safeguarding future decision-making, that they need to depart from the viewpoint of working with nature rather than against nature. Homegrown girl, so I very early in my life have learned that things like water, rain is not something that I can control, but I can control how I use it and how I abuse it. So I try, every time that I do something, I try to think, what is the footprint of this? How long and how far is this footprint? So just to make an example, the coffee that I buy, I'm a coffee drinker, but I like to source a coffee that is not so far away from us, not produced so far away from us, but also that don't have this enormous impact on the system where it's been grown. So I think in buying, and remember, I'm also a woman, so I like to buy. But I'm also not somebody that throws stuff easily away. I really use it to the last drop before we discard it. I think part of our lifestyle in this era is really that we are manufacturing a lot of things that is not degradable, and then we don't even use it to the fullest extent. So I'm really trying to minimize my usage of unnecessary and not the nice to have, just to show that you do have. But in other sense, in my garden, I really take into account what is the sloping of the garden, how can we utilize stormwater, how can we prevent flooding, how can we assist the city in curbing just the built environment impact on our sustainability. But I must say, it's really it's difficult to make sure that this is in your mind every single time that you make that decision. To say, do I really need to eat this now? Do I understand the manufacturing behind that? And that is an awareness. And I must really thank especially the Department of Environment Resource Management around me, that alert you every time to it. I think our Smart Living Handbook is an exemplary example of just to turn people's thinking around. Think before you act, think before you do, and then also consider after you do the consequences thereof. For example, I think my mom used to throw, without even thinking twice about it, old oil into the drain. I will never do it because I understand what is the consequences thereof. I understand the consequences of having a industrial site close to a river. And that was normal. It was the easy thing to do in the past. We now in Cape Town have decided that no, we're going to cherish our waterways and we're going to turn the city's face to the waterways. And instead of using them as to take away all the rubbish that we don't have, we're going to embrace it as something that adds value to the livability of our city. So I must say it's for me, and I'm still on the path to that, but to consider every time and every inch of your day, what is my impact? If I have to talk from my own experience, Bongani, I think my father has the most. I still hear him asking me, do you want it or do you need it? And if we say we need it, we always have to explain to fulfill what need. So I'm very conscious of making that decision. But I also hear him saying that, we only renting from the next generations. I'm from a big family, so I'm always reminded of when I call any of them, they will tell me, it hasn't rained. We are not allowed, we are not able to plow, for instance, or the crop is not what it should be. And their whole backtracking on why is it. And I'm very much inspired by people like you, people like Ozzy Asmal, our former ED. We really are able to take the right thing, design a strategy around it, and just push forward to make sure that an organization takes the right decision at the right time. So for me, I know there's a lot of books that's been written, and I know that we've got enormous pioneers in establishing protective areas act, like Kirsten Wars, which is a lovely example of what can be done. But for me, every single piece of land that Cape Town can protect is a win. So for me, our guys that go and negotiate to buy a piece of land to protect it, that for me is my inspiration. And those are the guys that I trust with my whole heart.